Hello friends, welcome to Trich Institute, and in today's automation with Ansible tutorial series we will be discussing about implementing roles. What is roles, why to use that, what are the benefits, and how to use the roles that we will see in this tutorial video. So let's move to the introduction section. So first is like Ansible roles. It allows you or the administrator to organize their playbooks into separate smaller playbooks and files. So like it helps you to do a quantize your playbook, and that makes it more easy to manage and make it small chunks. So that also helps you to manage it in a better way. So it also helps you to load the task handlers and variables from external files, as I was telling you in the previous point that it makes it in chunks. So like that you can have separate files for your task handlers and variables, and you can load them into your Ansible roles when you are executing them. Also it is possible to have static files and templates also to incorporate with your role and then reference it while executing the role. And that files what you use inside your role, and that must have a specific name and are organized in a rigid directory structure. So this directory structure and naming convention we will see in our preceding slide. So let's move to the next section where we will see the benefits. So first benefit you get the roles, it helps you to group the content, and it makes it easy to share the code with others. So suppose if you are planning to make a reusable Ansible playbook, then better to make it in the form of roles so that you can share it and use it in other projects also. Then these roles can be written and define in essential elements of a system type. Like suppose you can have a separate role for your web server, then for your DB server, then for your Git repository. Like that with different use case you can have a different role and then call them in a playbook. And roles makes larger project more manageable, because as I was telling you before, roles helps you to break down your entire playbook in different files and chunks. So it then makes it easier to manage those files, and as it is getting broken into multiple parts, so it is also possible to work in different parts of a role parallelly by different administrators. So if you see till now whatever playbooks you are writing in a single file. So in that case working with multiple administrators is not possible. Any one of the administrator has to maintain that playbook. But when you go with a role, you can have separate file for your handler or task or your variable. So different guys can work on these different parts, and they can all accumulate and put it in a single playbook and use it as a role. Now moving ahead, how you can see the role structure, like when you are creating a role, what should be the folder and file structure, that we'll see here. So first thing you need to do that Ansible role, this functionality is defined by its directory structure. So you need to understand that. So tasks should be in different directory, your handler should be in different directory, video should be in different directory. So that directory structure you need to understand. And first thing is that whatever is your directory name, the main directory name, that is the role name itself. So suppose if you are creating a role like web server, so the directory name also should be web server, it cannot be different. So that directory name itself is the role name. So here you will see one example, like you will see like main directory is testing, and then under this it has multiple directories like default, files, handlers, meta, task, template, test, word. So this testing is the name of the role, and each directory contains some files, specific files for the role to get complete. So like defaults is like to have a default value for variables and all. Similarly, files can host templates and static files, and templates can go to templates. Task will have the task. So that this detailed information about this directory structure we will see in our next slide. So what all folders you see typically inside role? So like default, so this default has a file called main.yml. So remember, this file name should be main.yml. It cannot be different file name, so you have to maintain this file name, and this file contains the default values of the variable. So suppose you have a variable called user, and there you put a default value like Tom. So if you are not specifying any other place that user name, then it will take it from this main file or defaults directory. So remember, this is having the lowest priority. So if you are defining any other place like in your inventory or in your playbook, then it will take that value, not the default value. So similarly, in files you keep all your static files. Like suppose you want to keep some configuration file or script which you can call in your role and execute them or copy them into your manage host. Similarly, handlers, by the name itself we can understand all the handlers definitions are written in this directory, and the file name is main.yml. Similarly, meta directory also has a file main.yml which contains the information about the role, then including authors, then license, platform, and optional role dependencies, like this role dependent on some other role. That information also being kept in under this meta directory and then this main.yml file. Whereas tasks contains a file main.yml which has all the role tasks, like suppose creating a user, installing some packages, starting a service, all those kind of tasks you can put it in this file. And templates, from the name itself you can understand, here you should have your Jinja2 templates stored, and then you call them inside your role using some tasks. And test directory, it can contain an inventory and test.yml playbook to test the role you want to test whether it is working or not. That you can use this directory and this test.yml playbook. Similarly, words, from the name itself you can understand this contains the variable definitions. So here also main file name is main.yml, where you put your variables like suppose user colon then the value. So variable name colon value, that will be the format for your variables directory inside that file. Now moving ahead, you will see how you can use these Ansible roles in a playbook. So till now you saw how the directory structure, where to write your task, where to put your variables, where to put your files, templates, all those things. But how you can use a role in your playbook? So what you can do, it is very easy and straightforward. So just to add a role, you just need to call it with the names like this. So you put after your hosts, then you put roles, it should be in the same vertical line, and then you put your roles name. You can call multiple roles, like how we can see in this example, like role 1, role 2. So like that you can call. So one thing you need to remember, this playbook where you are calling the roles also should be in the same directory. So you have to create a folder called roles. Inside that folder you need to create one folder for each role, like role 1, role 2, those kind of folders you have to create. So that structure you need to remember. This thing we will be discussing in details when we will show the live demo, but just to give you a hint, you need to follow that structure. Now I was telling you, right, in meta section you can even have a role dependencies also you can define. So how you can define that? So this helps you to call another role from one role. Suppose you have a role called web server, and that role need to install call another role which will install the web packages. So that dependency you can define in your role. So where to define? You have to define it under meta directory and the file main.yml. So this is the file you need to put your dependencies. So by default, one more thing you need to remember, so whenever you are putting a dependency, so multiple roles can call the same dependency role in multiple times, but thing is like it will be only running one time. So suppose you have one role like role 1 that's calling role x, and then you have role 2 that also calling role x. It doesn't mean it will run two times the role x. So if you want to run that dependency role multiple times, you have to put the option like allow underscore duplicates to yes in your meta directory main.yml file. So if you don't put this allow duplicates equals to yes, it will not run the role multiple times. So that file structure looks like this. So you put like dependencies and then you put role, like it's calling a role called Apache and it's setting up a variable like port 8080. Similarly, it's calling another role Postgres, and then it's setting up some variables like db name is like server list and admin user is like Felix. So like this you can write in your main.yml file inside meta directory and define your dependency roles. Now moving ahead, how you can control the execution order of the role. So you need to remember, whenever you put a role inside your playbook, first the role executes, then rest of the task it executes, whether you are calling it later or whatever. First it always run the roles. So how you can change that? That is also possible. Ansible allow you to change that order. What you do for that, you use two directives like pre-tasks and post-tasks. So what it does, so if you are putting some task inside your pre-tasks, so those tasks will be performed before executing the role. Similarly, if you are putting some task under post-task, those tasks will be executed after the roles are completed. So how it will look the playbook? So this is the example. So where you put like name, then host, then you put pre-task. So there you put a task like I am putting a debug and it will show a message like this will be executed before roles. Then I am putting roles. What are roles is calling like role 1, role 2. Then I am giving a normal task where I am again showing a message like it is still busy. Then I am going with a post task. So here what happens, first pre-task will be executing, then roles will be executing, then tasks will be executing, then your post task, when all the things are completed, then your post task will be executed. So like this you can put it in pre-task and post task and control the execution order. So I can give you example, like suppose you want to run a script before calling the OS upgrade role. So that script will collect all the configuration details. So that script you can put it in pre-task, then you put a role which will do the OS upgrade, then you put another post task, and there again you put the same script which will collect the configuration details again after that OS upgrade. So like that you can do. Now for the demonstration part, I have created another video. So that video you can see in the box also in your screen. You can click on that, or you can go to the next video. That video link also I'll put it in the description so that you can click on that and watch that video for the live demonstration. So thank you, please watch that video also, and bye, have a good day. We will see you in our next video.